Hey guys, what is up and welcome to another episode of Did You Know? This one featuring Annie. As this video went live, I'm actually streaming right now on Twitch, so come check it out. The link is below. But without any further ado, let us jump straight into Annie's abilities. Be careful of using abilities too fast on Annie when you have the stun ready. For instance, if you use her Q ability whilst flying for the stun effect, but use your W by accident and actually miss it, the stun effect will work on the W and the Q will not stun anymore. Here is a really neat trick for all you Annie players. Have 3 stacks of your passive ready and then throw your Q. As the Q is still flying, use your shield and this will result in your Q actually stunning, which can catch people off guard. Don't forget that if Annie kills her target with her Q ability, she loses no mana. This is the best way to charge up a stun in the laning phase. Did you know that the slow effect from Raaschallion will also work with things like Annie's shield whenever she gets auto-attacked, and it will also work with Tibris on his AoE ability. All of Annie's abilities other than her shield, which is her E, can be blocked by spell shield. This also does include the initial damage from Tibris when you do summon him. Molten Shield reflects auto attacks made against Annie from champions, but it does not reflect anything that is dealt from the turret. A typical combo with Annie in a team fight is to use Tibris first for the AoE stun and then follow it up with your W and your Q onto the target that you are trying to burst down. Don't forget to press R to control Tibris when he's out, as his AoE fire does a lot of damage in team fights and sometimes he can auto follow you, which is not what you want him to do. A typical in-lane harass combo can be to land the stun with the Q ability and then walk up with the W for the harass. At the beginning of a game when playing Annie, it can be wise to charge up 4 stacks of your passive in the base using her W. You do this because you want to have the AoE stun ready for a level 1 fight if anything does happen. Did you know that Banner of Command will increase the damage that Tibris does as well? As you can see in the game right now, his damage increases as he walks closer to Annie. And he gets a Banner of Command buff icon underneath his portrait at the top left. Alright guys, let us jump into some really cool facts and lore about Annie. Did you know that Ryan's gameplay producer's girlfriend is named Annie, and apparently she owns a teddy bear that is named Tibris? Annie's voiceover is done by someone named Christina Uola, who also did Amumu and Nunu. Annie is one of the first champions, and thus she was created by Ezreal, Guinsoo, and Zilius. Did you know that Annie is the first champion to have 8 skins and the second to have 9 skins? The first one to have 9 skins is of course Rise. Annie's last name is Hastur, which references to the great old one Hastur from, and I'm probably pronouncing this incorrectly, Cthulhu Mythos, which is a shared fictional universe based on the work of American horror writer H.P. Lovecraft. Recently, with many champions getting a remake, Annie was the second one to get hers and the first one being Katarina. Some believe that Annie's joke,
"You smell like burning,"
is similar to Ralph from The Simpsons. Due to the way she says it is very similar to the way Ralph says most of his jokes, on top of the humor being very similar as well. Annie's taunt,
"I'm rubber and you're on fire,"
references to the first line of a children's rhyme, "I'm rubber, you're glue." Her other quote,
"Eeny, meeny, miny, burn,"
is of course a reference to the children's counting rhyme, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo." Did you know that Annie shares a quote with Ezreal, Thresh, Aurelia, and Evelyn? Let's listen.
"This way."
This way!
This way.
This way. This way.
You might wonder how Annie, someone so young, has such magical powers. Well, her parents were the leaders of a group called the Grey Order, who were outcasts of Noxus. Their names were Gregori Hastur, who is a Grey Warlock, and her mother, Amelin, who is a Shadow Witch. They led their group of magicians to the Voodoo Lands to live there. Years later, they had a daughter who is named Annie, and being born from such powerful mages, Annie of course had something in her too. When she was 2, she ended up bewitching a Shadow Bear, who is now of course Tibris. She uses her magic to bind him into a playful teddy bear until she decides to release him. High counselors are terrified of Annie, especially thinking about how strong she can become once she grows into an adult. Did you know that Goth Annie was part of the collector's edition of League of Legends? Annie's Red Riding skin of course references to the fairy tale Little Red Riding Hood. Annie Wonderland skin references to Alice in Wonderland, and it was a response from Riot when players requested to have Tibris have a skin change as well. After Annie's visual upgrade, every single skin now has Tibris in his own respective skin. Did you know that Annie has 4 skins that are paired with another champion? Let's go through the list. The first pair is Red Riding Annie and Big Bad Warwick. The second pair is Annie in Wonderland and Mad Hatter Shaco. The third is Prom Queen Annie and Almost Prom Queen Amumu. And finally the last one is Goth Annie and Emumu. Off of this, did you know that Annie and Amumu are apparently good friends? In Annie's panda skin, Tibber seems to resemble Panda King from Sly Cooper games. Did you know that the Panda Annie skin shares a theme with the devil himself, Timo? Alright guys, that unfortunately does mark the end of this episode of Did You Know featuring Annie. Please don't forget to throw in a like if you enjoyed this episode, and also check out the previous episodes as well. Write down in the comments below who you would like to see in the next episode. I would really much appreciate it if you guys were able to follow me on my social medias, my Facebook, Twitter, and the Nook pages. The description below does contain all the links. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.